But it's more than just teaching them English as a language. They need to learn subjects through English. It's learning the language, it's learning through the language, and they also need to learn the language of learning. And all those years ago when I was new to learning English, this wasn't recognized. It was just assumed that we'll just pick it all up. I grew up in rural Hungary, which meant that I was a monolingual until the age of 15. I always felt like I had a chip on my shoulder because I'm not the same, because I'm not British. I left the British Council at the end of 2019, new to teaching EAL in a secondary school, but I was also the only EAL teacher on staff. In the spring of 2022, when I was already pregnant with my second daughter, and so my position was, cut. I've just started building a career for myself. What is going to happen to me now?
Yeah.
I wasn't financially prepared for this, if I want to be honest.
Yeah.
So it was a lot, and I really struggled with what now I know was postnatal depression.
Yeah.
Other people saw that I was struggling, but I was rejecting help. Kind of like a never-ending story. Like, I don't think I'll ever not have anxiety. I just think that I have, as I'm getting older, it's somehow getting easier.
Hi. Welcome to another episode of Pathways to Thriving. Today I have a very special guest, a friend, someone who started off as a colleague of mine way back when we were in the British Council. It's become a very good friend, Adrienn Szlapák. Adrienn is now the head of EAL at the elementary section of the St. Joseph's International School.
That's right.
Adrienn, thank you so much for taking the time out to be with us today.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be invited.
Yeah. Adrienn, do you want to maybe tell people a little bit about what you do? What is the head of EAL in an elementary school do?
Oh, a lot. It's a very diverse role, and therefore I really enjoy it. I still teach, which is very important to me.
Okay.
So I'm still a classroom-based practitioner. Mm-hmm. I currently teach year 3 EAL students who are new to English or are at the very beginning of their journey of learning English as a language. But it's more than just teaching them English as a language. They need to learn subjects through English. So it's a lot of things. It's learning the language, it's learning through the language, and they also need to learn the language of learning.
Wow.
And since I was an EAL learner once, but it wasn't really recognized, and we were just taught as second language learners. And at the time, a lot of things were assumed that we just knew. I'm very passionate about this.
Yeah. Can you explain to us what is it you said about to learn the language, learn subjects through the language, and learn through
the language of learning.
And learn the language of learning. Could you maybe talk about?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So remember when we worked at the British Council, what you and your colleagues used to do was very much teaching adults how to use soft skills, how to negotiate, how to write an email, all of those skills, right? That you know in one language, but it doesn't necessarily transfer to another language.
Yeah.
Now, it's very similar to that, but it's the how do you learn a subject, or how do you learn anything successfully when you're learning in a language that is not your strongest,
right?
Not your mother tongue, but also not your first language.
Yeah.
There is a difference between those two as well in my context. And how do you learn what photosynthesis is, which is a concept that you might have learned in your previous schooling in a different language.
Yeah.
How do you learn that? There is this bridge of the language that we need to input, that we call it tier 2 vocabulary, that is not dependent on the subject area, but is also more than just knowing English to communicate with a friend.
Right.
So there is that bit there that we need to plug in. And all those years ago when I was new to learning English, this wasn't recognized. It was just assumed that we'll just pick it all up.
Oh, wow. So I have to tell you that when I do my work as a trainer, I don't even think of it as English. I just think of it as soft skills. So I probably fell into that trap.
Not necessarily, because you are teaching the skills. I think what was missed in my case when I was new to learning English is the not recognizing that these are skills.
Right.
Just learning more traditional language like grammar and vocabulary is not necessarily going to make me a better writer in English or better at giving presentations, or even better at understanding a subject-specific text that is even organization-wise very different from what it would look like in Hungarian. And I had to learn biology in English, which is hard enough for me in Hungarian. So, you know, all of those bits. So I actually think that focusing on the skills, you're definitely a step closer now. Up to this, that I work in the elementary section, and there is literacy or COF, which is a whole new area for me. And again, it's becoming a passion of mine to learn more about how we can support learners with literacy skills development, who in a British international schools context might be a little late to it, because we only teach reading and writing early years and key stage 1 at best, right? But what if we've got students joining us in years 5 and 6 and they don't know how to read and write in English? What do we do then?
Wow.
So it's a lot. So that's what we do in the classroom. I then also have a team of 6 people, including myself. So me and 5 very, very great professionals. I'm very lucky with my team.
Nice.
And we work in our elementary school. Each of us are attached to one particular year group at the moment. And we teach EAL lessons. So that's like almost like extra English. Our students attend Mandarin every day, but those who are new to English don't until their English gets better. So they come and see us every day. We also teach them English, a differentiated English class. So we follow the British national curriculum. We try to align the aims as much as possible. And we also teach after-school lessons for those that are brand new to English. We take part in planning sessions with our year group teams. So we inform planning for other subjects like science or IPC, which combines history and social studies. And as head of EAL, I also inform policy. I am a part of, meetings about admissions, how we can make the journey of a new EAL learner to our school better, smoother, so that they can settle in some easier. So it's very widespread. I do a lot of different things. My to-do list is never ending. But I really do enjoy the work that I do.
That's amazing. And I want to actually ask this because I know that you co-authored a book recently. So you've just told us all of these things that you have to do. And I know that you are a mother to 2 young girls. So there's that much to do. Where did you find time for this co-authoring of a book?
As most good things, it's come from desperation.
Do you want to explain how that works?
So I left the British Council at the end of 2019 and started as an EAL teacher in an international school January 2020. We all know that year very well. So I found myself not only being new to teaching EAL in a secondary school, but I was also the only EAL teacher on staff. So I had just left the British Council that has the most wonderful staff room. Where everyone is the specialist of English, and therefore we share a lot, and the planning that goes on there.
And the collegiality was high, right?
And I desperately missed that because I didn't have anyone who taught the same subject. Then COVID hit, and then suddenly I found myself at home trying to reach these students who are very hard to reach on the best of days in an environment where they didn't always turn their cameras on. And so I started spending a lot of time on LinkedIn, reaching out to people who were in similar situations. And that's how I met Peter Cummins, who has been blogging for a really long time. ELT Planning, really good blog. Follow it. And we found that we had a lot that we shared about our experience. He was a high school EAL teacher at the time, a school in Bangkok. And then I lost my job. Well, not immediately after, In the spring of 2022, when I was already pregnant with my second daughter, the school was sold a few months beforehand, and with the corporate takeover came a look at like who can we spare, and so my position was cut. So it wasn't that I wasn't doing a good job. It was just that they didn't think they needed a head of EAL for the size of the school. And unfortunately, it was too late for me to find another job for the next academic year at that time, especially because I was pregnant.
Yes.
And I felt really insecure. It's, I wasn't entirely surprised that I found myself out of a job. I just didn't expect it to happen then, because I kind of could see that it was coming with the takeover, but I didn't imagine that they would not honor my contract. I mean, it was legally it was all done, well. Yeah. But it was still hard to find myself a job, and suddenly, like, I've left the career behind. Yeah. I've just started building a career for myself in the international school. And what is going to happen to me now? Yeah. It's not going to look great on my CV that I've done 2.5 years and then suddenly out of a job, and now I'm going to have a baby. And I wasn't financially prepared for this, if I want to be honest. The school that I worked for was also quite far from my house, and our older child was already school-aged. But the school was too far for us to drive for every day. So we also, where is she going to go? So it was a lot. And so I reached out to Peter and said, what if we wrote a book or a resource or something? Yeah. And I pitched him an idea, which is not the book that we finally, ended up publishing. Yeah. But that's where it all started. Because luckily he was like, yes, let's do something. There is a desperate need for, people to know more about what EAL learners struggle with, like kind of championing them a little bit.
Yeah. I want to go back to something that you said, and this is in relation to the job loss. I went through a redundancy in 2024 myself, and like you say, it doesn't have anything to do with how you performed. Certain things are out of your control, right? And they close departments, but I'm going by me, and I'm wondering whether it was the same for you. It would have still stung. Just wondering whether you could maybe share a little bit about how you dealt with that, because what was going through your mind.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember, if I want to be honest. I remember I wasn't as... I remember the meeting really vividly when the principal had to tell me that I will not have a job. And if I want to be honest, I think it was, in a lot of ways, a more difficult conversation for him than for me.
Wow.
Because I knew that it wasn't his decision. It wasn't a decision that he personally made. Yeah. And it is really hard to be the bearer of bad news. You are not the person who's made that decision.
Yes.
And then I remember driving home from work, and just when reality hits, and in between those two things, something that I will never forget happened. So obviously, the head of the high school that I worked for was aware that I will be told that I will not have a job from July. And not only did we get on really well, but he cared about me as a person and a colleague. And he came to my office in school and closed the door, which is something that he's never done before. He closed the door and he said, I am so sorry. And I think you should send an email now to say that you need to go home and spend some time with this family in light of the news that you received. And it was so, I never would have thought to do that. I'm such a goody two shoes. I was just told that I will not have a job from July. And I would have stayed and seen out the day. And he was just like, you've got every right to feel all your feelings.
Yeah.
And you've got a right to go home and have those feelings.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll be ready to come back the following morning.
Yeah.
Now, one of our closest friends at the school, who was the head of pastoral care, also found herself in the same situation.
Okay.
She had been told a day before me, and I didn't know. But of course, I found out then. And we kind of got each other through it.
Right.
We shared an office, which was, it could have easily turned into the office where it's all moaning.
Yeah.
And I think kind of people kind of expected that to happen.
Right.
Because, we were like, we were that man walking in the school. Like everyone knew after a while that we will not be there from
losing your job. Yeah.
And we stayed professional till the very end.
Yeah.
And I'm actually really proud of ourselves for being able to do that. But we could only do it because we had each other.
Yeah.
So of course there was moan to each other.
Yeah.
But therefore we weren't moaning to everyone else.
Yeah.
We showed up as best as we could till the last day because, we needed a good reference to, go and find another job. And because we were professionals, we knew that we don't want to leave the school without proving that we were worth it. You might not see benefit in our jobs moving forward, but while we're there, we're absolutely providing benefit. And she used this phrase that has stuck with me, and I still use it to this day. And we probably said it about 50 times a day at that time. If something was going on that we didn't agree with, or that otherwise we would have been really riled up by, we would just say, "Not my circus, not my monkeys." And I like that. I think those friendships, those people, and that phrase is what got me through it during the day. At home, family support.
Oh, that's
knowing that financially as a family we weren't prepared for this.
Yes.
We had just gone through an IVF journey, really costly. I was finally pregnant. We're about to have our second child, and now I wasn't going to have a job. We weren't prepared to live on one income, but luckily we did have reserves, and my husband was supportive of me not rushing into just getting the job for getting a job's sake, so I could take 9 months to stay at home with our second child, and that was wonderful. And actually, in some ways, I think being pregnant and knowing that I will expect my second child to arrive and have that time with her also meant that I wasn't spiraling too much.
Right.
And then in the meantime, Peter and I started working on this resource, which kind of answers your first question. That's how I had a little bit more time for it, because, after I lost my job or my child was born, I had some time to myself, which I never really had before. And then when my daughter was a baby, the oldest was already in school. Again, all those nap times, I'm not a napper myself, so our baby nap. And actually, in some ways, it was nice to have an outlet, something that required me to use those parts of my brain.
To be like an adult kind of an output, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I was actually struck by the first person that you told us about as well, your head, who came in and said, "Look, if you need to take a day off." To me, that's such a big act of kindness.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That validation of your feelings, which as educators we know is so important. When I wasn't going to allow myself, and him saying, "Hey, I know how you feel. I feel really bad for you, and it's okay if you feel bad certain, and you do not have to show up strong today. You're allowed to feel your feelings and feel sad about this. It's not, it's not easy what you're going through." It meant everything.
I think so.
Thank you for it.
Wow, not too late ever to thank him. But it does sound like such a pivotal moment, where kindness comes into the workplace at a time when a lot of people start drawing lines. When there's a redundancy, there's that whole thing, like it's us against them, that kind of a thing, and And even for the school, it could have just been a us against them. But this person,
Oh no, it was, yeah. I, it was a very small school.
Yes.
Which can sometimes be tricky to work in.
yes, yes,
Because everyone knows about everyone else's business kind of thing.
yes,
But we were a community. Almost
yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
But I think ultimately there was a lot of goodwill and
Yeah.
people were
Yeah.
sad to see us leave.
yeah,
Especially
Yeah.
my colleague who was a founding member of
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
And I left with, you know, I felt that what I had built
yeah,
was strong. It was a
Yeah.
strong foundation we're hunting
yeah,
for the school to keep growing.
yeah,
And they didn't replace me immediately, but the person who ultimately took my role over is a person that was a colleague of mine at the time when I worked there.
yeah,
I had the privilege of hiring her to and you know
Oh, wow.
welcoming her
Yeah.
to the school, and that department is in great hands with her,
Yeah.
and that's really nice as well.
yeah. Nice. I want to go into this because when you first started, you mentioned that you yourself were an English learner. You had to learn English, and then you transitioned into this place where you taught English, and then you've kind of like now transitioned into this place where you still teach, which I know is something that you are very passionate about, but you impact policy and all of this as well. Can you maybe talk me through a little bit about how these transitions happened and, you know, what were the challenges that you faced?
Yeah, I'll try. Honestly, I don't know if there is like a clear link here. I think,
yeah.
I didn't always want to be a teacher.
All right.
But I do consider myself a career teacher because I never really had any other jobs. I kind of fell into it and just loved it.
Yeah.
So I grew up in rural Hungary, which meant that I was a monolingual until the age of 15.
Wow.
Because we don't speak any other languages
Yeah.
at birth. Even now, very few people are multilingual in Hungary.
Yeah.
I am this kind of like sandwich generation. I was born before the change of the regime, but by the time I started primary school, which is for us, it's like age 6 or 7, and I was 7, I wasn't required to learn Russian anymore.
Okay.
Whereas people a few years older than me were still, that was a requirement that
Right.
you took Russian as a second language. We had a choice between German and English.
Wow. Okay.
And my parents made the decision that I should be learning German because I have a sister who is 8 years older than me. And bless her, she had to learn Russian for a while and then suddenly she had to learn German. So because she was learning German, my parents, who don't speak any of these languages, thought at least she could help me finding support,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So technically, I spent more of my schooling years learning German than I learned English, and yet
Wow.
I don't speak German. I have a B2 language exam forever ago.
Yeah.
Because when you are in school and it's just so
yeah.
I did quite well with it.
Yeah.
But then it just never had the same pool as English did.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not using it at the moment.
No,
Yeah.
and even then, we didn't listen to German music.
Yeah,
We didn't want
yeah.
to watch German movies. It just wasn't the same, and it kind of fell by the wayside because when I went to high school, all I knew, I'm from a really small place. I'm from a village where everybody knew my family.
Oh,
Everybody
so
knew my
lovely. Yeah.
family. My mom worked in the mayor's office. My dad worked for the biggest employer in the village.
Nice. Yeah.
It felt a bit claustrophobic. I couldn't. I felt like if I made a mistake, my parents would find out before I got home.
I hadn't thought about that. I've got this picture of like a fairy tale going on in my head.
I mean,
but
it's
Yeah.
wonderful, and I still go back and take my children back, and it's fun. But as a teenager, it just felt too small.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wanted to go to a boarding school,
Yeah.
and my dad went to a boarding school, so he was okay with that idea. And my mom, on the other hand, was like, "Well, if you want to go to a boarding school, there has to be a good enough reason, right?" So there was this boarding school. It's an immersion school, actually not too far from my house, but at the time, public transportation was very problematic.
Yes.
And an older cousin of mine was already a student there. And it was this, like the point of the school was that you learned English really well.
Yeah.
So my mom said, well, if you get in, you can go. So I said, okay, let's see. And I didn't get in right away.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to go and take a written like test. It was Hungarian, testing our Hungarian, but more like not what we had expected. Like Hungarian education system at the time, it was very much like rote learning.
Right.
And it wasn't like that. It was much more like testing your common sense.
Right. Okay.
Reading skills.
Yeah.
And there was a maths assessment.
Yeah.
I wasn't that strong in math.
Yeah.
So I didn't get in right away. I got on a waiting list. So they called me in for a face-to-face interview, which was really scary. I never had a face. I was, 15?
Oh.
Never had a face-to-face interview. But after that, I did get in. And he was really hard. Like, there was no level testing. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
there were 72 of us in grade 9, which is, for us, that's the first year of high school.
Yeah.
72 students. And we were divided into groups of 12. And I hadn't never learned English other than maybe like the odd, extra lessons my parents paid for outside of school. And this person sitting next to me was a student who learned English since grade 1.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we were all in the same class, and we started from the very beginning, like literally, how do you say recite the alphabet in English? From there, by November, we were all on this like same level.
Wow.
They got us from 0 to like a strong-ish A2.
Wow.
But it was super intense.
Yeah.
25 English lessons a week.
Wow.
A test every Friday morning that was grueling.
Yeah. You can remember even the day. Wow. Yeah.
I also remember walking into that classroom every Monday morning and seeing my name and the mistakes I made on the board.
Oh, wow.
Which informs how I deal with mistakes with the teacher to this day. But I did have really good English teachers.
Yeah.
We had majority of our teachers were Hungarians, but their English was very good, and they were good teachers.
Yeah.
In their own way.
Yeah.
And then we also had some teachers from the UK, some teachers from America, who came for a year, and then that kind of thing.
So I kind of picked up one more little thing here, because earlier when you talked about, I asked you about how you got to writing your book, you said desperation. And am I picking up that the first step on your journey from learner to now teacher, or like someone who's impacting policy, would that also be desperation?
Maybe. Maybe, actually. Like, I never thought about it that way, but you might not be wrong about it. There was always a bit restless. I always wanted, the next thing. What could be the next big thing?
Yeah.
And obviously when I was younger, all I thought about was me. But then I fell into, so after I graduated from this high school, by that time my English was good, but I still sounded like a course book,
Wow.
I didn't, I was at a good C1 level.
Yeah.
But I had never lived or been really on the road.
Yeah.
I sounded like a Cambridge course book, which is what we use in school. And then I got accepted to university, and I decided to study English. And then within that university, after the first semester, I had the chance to transfer into the American Studies department, which is a smaller department. And you had to pass this internal filter test.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, there are so many students all studying the same subject. If I want to be the best, I have to be the best. I really have to work at it, because there are so many of us, right?
Yeah.
And mind you, by this time, I really knew I wasn't good at maths or science. So, I knew that this was my chance. So during that time, I also realized that actually not that many people spoke English well. And so I started private tutoring. to make money. And after a couple of years, I thought, I quite like this, but it's also a bit boring. I wonder what is it that I'm not doing right.
Right.
And that's how I stumbled upon the CELTA course.
Wow.
And I was really lucky because Budapest is actually one of the top places to take your CELTA course to this day.
Yeah.
And I had some wonderful CELTA trainers there. And almost immediately I got a job with International House as a freelancer. I started working with them. And as a freelancer, we had the opportunity to attend their seminars every Friday.
Right.
So I was trained by some really big names in the industry.
Fantastic. Yeah.
It was great. It was great.
Yeah.
I was young. I was still a uni student. But again, a couple of years later, I was like, right, I am getting bored with my own lessons a little bit. So let's apply for the Delta.
Nice.
I was a master's student at this time.
Yes.
Completing my master's, had just returned from a scholarship in the US. And I expected to just get on that course,
Yeah.
Why would I not?
Yeah.
And I was interviewed by the two people who later became my trainers, and they really grilled me, They were like, are you sure you can do this? Feels like you have a lot on your plate.
Oh, wow.
Sure you're going to be okay? And I was like, how dare you?
Yeah, what about this confidence that you're supposed to be getting?
Be okay. So I, during the interview, I told them I'll be okay. So I had to be okay. And I was. It was really hard work. Like I was writing my master's dissertation at the same time as I was preparing for my, first observations. And it wasn't always easy.
Yeah.
And the Delta course is another pivotal moment, I think, in my life as a teacher, because the best way I can describe that course is that I felt like I crumbled like a brick wall.
Right.
In the first month.
Wow.
And the whole course was about me building myself up.
Lovely.
By brick.
Wow.
Putting myself back together.
Wow.
Better. And I did come out on the other side as a better teacher.
Yeah.
With a lot more understanding of what actually happened in the heads of my students, or what should happen.
Right.
And what control I can have.
Yeah.
With the CELTA, I had a toolkit, but I didn't really understand why it worked or why it didn't.
Right,
With the Delta, I had much more understanding, but then I also thought, still not enough, I want to know more. So I also pivoted and I went into my master's as a student of American Studies books, history and culture. Came out as American Studies, Cognitive Linguistics. Because I thought I needed to
keep understanding the...
Yes, I wanted to know more about language.
But how does it translate into your own life? And speaking about this from a point of view of maybe authenticity and how you sound. We've had chats about this before.
Yes.
And you've talked about, your Eastern European background and then working in like maybe a very British environment or very, I don't know, a different environment. How does textbook OG come out? Is it different? Are there parts of yourself that you are having to shave off? What's happening there?
Yes, we talked about this before, and it's again a part of my journey, I guess, that I never would have considered if I wasn't having that conversation with you. Actually, you're very insightful. Yes, being a well, now I do consider myself a bilingual. I wasn't always, but now I am.
Yes.
English is definitely my first language now, and I raise my children in English as much as I teach them Hungarian.
Yeah.
And my oldest is fluent, which is a big, it's a moment of pride for me. But I communicate with my husband in English, and that's our home language. And I think through that personal experience, my persona in English and my persona in Hungarian have merged.
Right.
But it wasn't always the case.
Yes.
And there are certainly elements of my personality that only come out better or shine more when I am speaking Hungarian, when I am living my Hungarian self with my friends in Hungary, that I don't think would fly in a very British environment, if I want to be honest, because being Eastern European to me means that we were raised with high standards, because we were made to understand that to be successful meant to be the best.
Right.
And I do not mean that if you weren't the best in school, you didn't become successful. Mm-hmm. What I mean is that it didn't matter what you chose as your path in life. You work at it.
Oh, okay.
And you do the best you can.
Okay. So that's like a dogma. That's a different... Yeah.
Because nothing is going to just fall in your life, right?
Yeah.
You have to work at it. Like,
yeah.
My parents, they never went to college. It just wasn't something that was open to them at the time. Socialist Hungary just wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
But they also knew that they get out of high school and they'll have a job.
Yes.
And by the time I came out of high school, it was like, no one is going to give you a job.
Yeah.
What do you know? Nothing.
Yes.
Go to college. And then the world moves on, and now you come out of college and still no one wants to give you a job, because what do you know, right? So it's becoming harder and harder.
Yeah.
But what we brought with ourselves is this, like, you just have to do the best you can with the tools you were given. And in my house, it was education.
Right.
My parents strongly felt that the best gift they can give me is the gift of education.
Yes.
Because they didn't necessarily have it. They were as well educated as they could have for the time.
Yes.
My mom is actually an accountant, but going to college was something she would have liked to do, but wasn't open to her. And it wasn't easily available. So for me and my sister, that's what they wanted. They wanted us to have a tertiary education because that meant you were successful. You had better chance than your parents did, right? And I kind of really internalized that. But if I want to be honest, I always felt like I had a chip on my shoulder because I'm Eastern European, even at the British Council, where, by all accounts, I was successful because I got promoted within the teaching center, and I became a coordinator. I still didn't feel like I was the same level, and it was just my perception, because there is nothing to prove otherwise, but I always felt like I'm not the same because I'm not British. And then when I went to work at my first international school, imposter syndrome all over again. Oh no, what do I know? I'm not British, and I'm not from a native speaking country. I'm going to tell everyone how to teach learners who don't speak English.
Forgetting that you were actually probably well qualified because you were a learner who didn't speak English, right?
So that clarity actually came from my husband, of all people, who is a very
Thank you, Stanley.
Yes. Yes.
So we said hi to Stanley here.
He is a very successful multilingual. He speaks way more languages than I do, and he's much better at learning than I am.
Yeah.
But that's not the career path he chose for his life. But during the COVID times, when I was really struggling with the, being isolated in what I did, he suggested I start blogging. And I always thought I hated writing.
Right.
So I was like, nah. And he just kept telling me about how wonderful it would be. And you could reach out to the people, and other people would, maybe there are people who would relate to your experience. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have my blog, which then got me to Peter, which then got us to the book, and has opened so many doors for me. And I've actually really enjoyed writing.
Yeah.
But it all came from that clarity when we were then sitting down and making my blog online, and he was like, right, you need to write a profile for yourself. And I wrote one, and I read it after, and it's like, I kind of feel like you're not understanding this. Who are you? You're I'm like, what? No, I'm not. And he was like, you're PhD. He didn't say that, but I think he meant it. But yeah, I was like, wow, yes, because when I was in high school, nobody used the term EAL. That wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
And there was no understanding. I had really good English teachers, but I don't think they understand. I don't think they knew that we needed instruction on this middle that I was talking about.
Yeah.
And I don't think I understood that at the beginning of my journey in EAL. Now, I had a lot of experience as a second language teacher, and I came into this other environment, and I analyzed what I brought with me and tried different things and kind of like, wanted to see what sticks.
Yes.
So a lot of it was trial and error. And then invested a lot of my time and resources in doing as much training as I could. And I got lucky in this sense with COVID because so many things were freely available online at the time.
Yes.
So I did a lot of training through the Bell Foundation, which is a wonderful resource for any EAL teacher out there. I did a lot of their training courses. And so I realized that the what sticks attitudes married with the theoretical framework. I was like, yes. But then also the industry started shifting. So we started to see that more and more colleagues were leaving second language teaching centers behind, trying to get jobs in international schools. And that's where the collaboration with Peter started, that other people will be in the same situation we were. How can we support them? And then what about all these subject teachers who, no teacher training course, and even now very few, but at the time, no teacher training course prepared you to teach a subject to a learner who doesn't speak the same language as you. That's like a skill that is now highly valued, but just nobody really thought about, right? Of course, that was CLIL, but CLIL is slightly different and it's very context specific. And in our Asian context, it's not always possible. Plus, it's really resource intensive and not necessarily applicable to an international school. So all of that. Yes, and
so it's been like a maturing along the way.
Just learning about myself as well, and valuing my own experience. And then I do think that once I realized that actually yes, my experience is what sets me apart. Not makes me better, but that it gives me an insight that that other people might not have. Maybe that's my unique selling point, right? And I actually started talking about that in interviews. Like when I apply for jobs, that's something that I always emphasize, that I do. First of all, I think it gives me an empathy. That, not that other people can't have it, but I relate. I relate in ways that maybe other people can't. I also, strongly believe that if I could do it, then anyone can do it, because I don't think I'm special. I just think I was lucky. I was given, the right instruction for what I needed. And so that's what I'm trying to do for my learners. But I also think that when it comes to, for instance, policy, again, it gives me an insight that other policymakers might not have, simply because they've had a different experience.
I just want to say that I know in the British Council, we worked in different units, right? But we did interact quite a lot. And, to me, you were always there. Like, I always thought your input was amazing, and I thought you were brilliant. So
back at you. I still remember a lesson that you shared with me, and even after you actually transferred to the other department, I kept reteaching that lesson over and over, and it was about the narrative tenses.
Oh wow! Okay, I don't like teaching grammar, but you've shared a lot of wonderful journey with a lot of highlights. What have been the challenges? And these can be professional, personal, but
there've been a lot. Right, my first challenge was learning English. It wasn't easy. I remember I didn't have a mobile phone yet, so now you can, approximately how old I am. But we used to use payphones to call home the first year that I was in high school. And I remember calling my parents in tears, telling them to take me out of school.
Oh.
Hard. And my mom, bless her, she was like, we stick to what we start.
Oh.
We'll talk again at the end of the school year. Definitely not pulling you out through the school year. To be fair, by the end of the school year, I was like, yeah, I'm fine. She did ask you for a good reason. Yeah, I mean, my mom has this saying that she in Hungarian it makes more sense, but the translation would be it's not like dressing a doll that you just change their clothes.
Okay.
As and when you want. Like, you stick to your decisions. It's very Eastern European thing again, like chose your past, you stick to it. But yeah, so that wasn't easy. And so I lived in a dorm, and one of my my roommates didn't make it. Basically, it was if you didn't pass at the end, if you didn't pass English at the end of your first year, you couldn't continue.
Wow.
She left, and that was hard.
Yeah.
It was a really cool.
Yeah.
So I struggled with friendship, and then ultimately I did find really, really close friends who that kind of like sisters.
Yeah.
And we still keep in touch, and it's great.
Yeah.
And they've become my support system for the rest of my life, really. But then I left them behind when I moved here. I came here for 6 months, 11 years ago. I wasn't supposed to meet Stanley, but I met him in my first week here, and now we've got 2 children, and this is a home for me.
Yeah.
And for that, I had to leave my family behind, but also my chosen family, and start a new life here. And that wasn't always easy.
Yeah.
When I first started at the British Council, I didn't have many friends. I felt really awkward. I didn't find it easy to socialize. I was in a different phase of life a little bit. I was, I when I transferred to the Brit, because before I met you at the British Council, I was working for the British Council, but I was working on a teacher training program.
Yes. Yeah.
So I had already been with Stanley. We were engaged by the time I joined the teaching center.
Yeah.
I wasn't single anyway. I wasn't socializing the same way. So it took me a while to have real friends.
Yeah.
Like yourself. And then when I did make friends, a lot of friends left. And all around the same time, if you remember.
Yeah.
And then
one of the challenges of that environment, right? People come, people go. Yeah.
And then I had my first child at the beginning of 2018. And I decided before I had her that I will take a year off.
Okay.
So 6 months paternity and 6 months unpaid leave. Because in Hungary, you stay home with your child for 3 years. So that was the expectation for myself. And I didn't know how hard that will be to, take a teacher out of the environment like where I'm surrounded by people all day.
Yeah.
Suddenly I was home with a child who didn't speak.
Yes.
And I didn't have help because I was adamant I didn't need help. So we didn't have a helper, and I didn't reach out to my husband's family for help because I was convinced that would make me a bad mother.
Oh, wow.
And I really struggled with what now I know was postnatal depression.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was really hard because other people saw that I was struggling, but I was rejecting help. My mom was here for the first 3 months.
Yeah.
And she was as helpful as ever, but I just didn't. It's a really difficult situation to be in when you just can't get out of your own head.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was probably a really unpleasant person to live with as well because it's very emotional, very controlling. I tried to control my daughter's nap schedule like my life depended on it. Said no to social engagements because of that. But also she was my first child, so I didn't know any better.
And it's a learning process, isn't it? Like
I read like a million books on sleep and raising babies and everything. And I was convinced that she was a difficult child. And now I know she really wasn't.
I guess sometimes when we read some of these things as well, it provides people, I mean, I know like for me, it provides like a checklist. And you think like I don't have kids, but you know, like for different things, it's like, oh, this checklist, if I do this, I should get that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And that's how it should be.
Exactly.
I think it's part of my personality, but I really struggle when things don't go my way.
Yeah.
And it usually starts with a tantrum. And then things do it gets done. But I struggle with that situation where it's like, why is it not working? Sugar. It's so logical. Why is it not working? And it's interesting because so after 1 year, I went back part-time first. And then when she was 1.5 years, I went back to the council full-time in a different position.
Yes.
Which I loved.
Yes.
But it was hard. And I think that's when things got really challenging. Because suddenly I wasn't a full-time mom anymore, but I was still a full-time mom and I had a job.
Yes.
It's a time job.
Yes.
And it gave me really bad anxiety. I had a couple of panic attacks. One at work, late in the evening, when there was no one else in the staff room but me. It was really hard. So the council was actually quite good at a lot of things. And I don't know if you remember this time, but they were sending us these emails that we have to fill in a questionnaire to see how, about like
check-ins,
check-ins, right? And I filled it in honestly, and I got an email that I was referred to counseling for depression, potential depression.
Wow.
And so I mean that support was amazing, right? To have that support. So I started seeing a counselor, and then I saw a couple of different ones over the years, and I still every now and then go. And now I think I'm much better at managing my anxiety.
Yeah.
But when it becomes bad, or when I feel like it's, I'm spiraling, then I do go and see someone about it.
Any tips on how people can manage anxiety? Because you are a busy woman and you are a mother. I think that's a reality that many women can, relate to. Is there anything that you can advise about how you could manage anxiety?
I'm not a professional, so what I'm saying is just my experience, but don't keep it in. Like
keep it in.
Yeah. Talk to someone. I often found that talking to a stranger, like a counselor, is easier for me because I don't feel judged. Not that people in my life would judge me, but I just, then I go home and,
but that's a purpose. Yes, right.
That's easier for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely don't keep it in because that is unlikely to be helpful.
Yeah.
Through all the help that I've received from professionals, I've also realized that sleep is actually very, very important. And I didn't have very good sleep hygiene. I mean, parents of young children, you don't sleep much as is. But I was also very... even if I did fall asleep, I couldn't stay asleep. And I slept very short hours. I clearly wasn't rested enough. So just taking better care of, what I do before I go to bed. Now I take supplements like magnesium, for instance, every night. And maybe it's just placebo, but I take the pill and I fall asleep and I feel like it's helping. But every now and then it doesn't help. Just reaching out to a medical professional and say, hey, I'm really struggling with sleep and it's affecting me. I've had to do that over the years a couple of times. And most times, if I sleep better, I feel better. Journaling, that's how I got through COVID. I'm not a journal person, so once we kind of returned to reality or started returning to reality, I stopped the journaling, but that was very, very helpful at the time. Obviously, like, your support system, the people that you trust. But as I say, for me, I don't always, my husband isn't always the first person I talk to about my anxiety because we're a team, and if I'm anxious, he gets anxious, and then that's not good.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Ultimately, I will always tell him.
Yes.
And sometimes he sees it before I actually realize.
Yeah.
But I don't. I'm lucky that I have other resources that I can use.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't strain our relationship.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. Like, you can't not take it on.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you live with that person. Exercise.
Yeah.
Which I still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
But once I started exercising more regularly, that's also meant that I slept better.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, the support system.
Yeah.
And friends, just friends in general. But shout out to my wonderful forum of my 6 other ladies who I meet on a monthly basis.
That I hear about quite a lot. Yeah.
I mean, they've been a godsend.
Yeah.
Another thing in my life that I never could have predicted.
Yeah.
Like, we got together because of our husbands.
Yeah.
And in any other scenario, I don't think we would be.
Yeah.
But because we were put together as here you go, you form a forum, they've been an incredible support system. And people that I know, if I'm really struggling, I reach out to, and they'll listen and not judge. And that actually, the having people in your life who you can say, I don't need you to solve my problem.
Yeah.
Please don't judge me, just listen.
Just listen. Yeah. Yeah.
Because oftentimes the things that give us anxiety aren't things we can solve.
Yeah.
Because then you would solve it.
Yeah.
Right?
Then all of us could solve it, right? Yeah.
These things have helped me.
Yeah.
But it is kind of like a never-ending story. Like, I don't think I'll ever not have anxiety. I just think that I have, if I can maintain longer and longer periods when I don't feel too anxious, getting better at realizing what my triggers are and boundaries. And again, it's something that we've talked a lot about, right?
My favorite topic.
Yes. Personal life as well as at work.
Yeah.
At personal life, I found it a lot more tricky.
Yeah. Yeah.
To put boundaries in place. But as I'm getting older, it's somehow getting easier. You know, I'm still a people pleaser, but I'm also a lot more realistic about, you know, and my family is my priority.
Yeah.
In my time that is not spent at work.
Yeah.
Or on projects that I work on, my family is my priority.
Yeah.
And the few friends that I have, I make time for.
Yeah.
Because they make time for me.
Yeah.
And at work, it was hard because, again, you know, that Eastern Europeanness that I need to be the best, and how I do the best. You have to be dependable. You have to be flexible. You also have to deliver before the deadline.
Yeah.
All of that. No, I am much clearer about, again, what I can and can't deliver.
Yeah.
At the cost of what.
Yeah.
I'm also incredibly lucky to be working with people for whom I'm a person first and an employee second.
Yeah.
That matters.
Yes.
But also I am much better at saying, I understand that this is a priority.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at what else I have to do and what can we deprioritize so that I can focus my time on this, because I can do things.
Yes.
And the first time I had to have a conversation like that, my palms were sweating. And now it's second nature. And again, if I can do
this. Yeah.
It's amazing growth.
No, but this is amazing growth. Amazing. And I'm so proud. To hear this. It's wonderful. So this is my last question. And it's a question I ask all my guests when they come on the podcast. What does thriving mean to you?
Oh, that's a great question.
Because the podcast is prepared. It's pathways to thriving. So
I should have prepared my answer for this. I knew this was coming. Thriving to me is that I feel like me.
Oh, I love that. That must be the best answer so far. Yes.
That I don't feel like I'm compromising
Yeah.
my well-being,
Yeah.
my mental health,
Yeah.
my physical health,
Yeah.
and that I don't have to hide parts of my personality. That I can just be me. I don't feel like there is any strain on
Yeah.
how I function
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah.
But also thriving looks different in different seasons.
Yes. Yes.
So also just realizing that you can absolutely have everything, but maybe not at the same time, and what the cost of having everything. And I think sometimes not realizing that maybe you don't need to have absolutely everything then.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning that.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for taking this time. And thanks to everyone for watching. If this episode has resonated with you, please like and subscribe. Thank you.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you.